Welcome to BitBoy Crypto, the largest crypto channel in all the interwebs. My name is Ben. Every day on this channel, I show you how to make money in crypto. If you like money and you like crypto, then heck, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Got a big contest announcement coming next week, hopefully on Monday, if I remember. Guys, here's the thing. We got a lot to talk about today, and it all revolves around something that is going on right now that is incredibly important. No, I'm not talking about me being on vacation. I'm not even talking about me wearing a backwards brace hat. I'm not even talking about my shades, but I do look good. What I want to talk to you guys about is the G7 summit and what we should be looking for. So if you haven't been paying attention to the 4-hour chart, we've been on a little bit of a dip here, and it is not looking good. Like our usual Friday afternoon breakdown, as you guys know, futures contracts close on Friday afternoons. So we are possibly going to see some downward action throughout this afternoon. The last couple of weekends, it hasn't necessarily led into complete bloody disasters, like we had been accustomed to for many months before that. So just in terms of the price of Bitcoin for the moment, we should be watching these futures contracts close today and see what happens tomorrow. I think trading on the weekend isn't necessarily a great idea right now. But next week, we've got another big announcement for a FEMEX contest where we're going to be doing a Bit Squad team. We can compete together and try to win some awesome prizes. Obviously, monies, am I right? So you can get more information on that by heading over to FEMEX, but you can go to bitboycrypto.com/deals and then go to the FEMEX sign up. Go ahead and sign up, and we'll have the contest link up for you guys next week. But the point is, over the weekend right now, I'm not doing a lot of trading. Why? Well, first and foremost, I'm in the beach right now. I'm in Miami. You guys can see it back there. Looking good. Found some Bit Squad members already down here, so it's been awesome. But this is just a getaway. Just hanging out. Last weekend was work. This weekend is pleasure. But I got to still come to you guys and tell you the news, right? Because crypto doesn't stop. This G7 summit. So what is the G7? This is a collection of liberal. They're like limes. Liberal democracies. It includes Canada, the United States, the UK, France, Italy, Germany, and Japan. That's 7 right there. Now, some of the main things on the agenda, they're all obviously talking about the pandemic. One of the big news stories that came out from day one here is they're going to be donating a lot of those shots that people get to prevent the pandemic, if you guys pick up what I'm saying there. They're going to be sending, I think, $1 billion worth of those, or 1 billion of them, to poorer countries and things like that. So, great, yada, 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 who cares? Next thing, they're going to be talking about really 3 major things. Number one is a post-pandemic society. What is it going to look like? It's going to look more feminine, guys. That's the big takeaway. Going to look more feminine. I don't know if you guys saw Jay Chains. He shaved his beard recently, so he's heading that direction as well. That was a cheap shot. Okay. But the fact is that that's one thing they're talking about. You guys know, like, societal norms and stuff like that. Things are changing. It's a weird world right now, in my opinion. And it's probably going to get weirder. So that's one thing. Shouldn't really affect that much of, on our day-to-day lives necessarily. The other 2 things. The second thing is cyber criminal activity from Russia. So Russia is not in the G7. It's in the larger G20, I think. But it is not in the G7. So what this means is now, guys, I don't know, I'm just saying propaganda, pipeline, attack, hacks, whatever. This just happened. We had the Colonial Pipeline hack. Bitcoin's in the news because of it. They're really targeting Russia for that. Another thing they wanted, which you guys know, it's so weird. If you brought this up a year ago, people said you were a conspiracy theorist, and people said that you were absolutely ridiculous. But today, everybody says it's cool. I told you guys yesterday, we are living in the USSR with news propaganda. But they want to find out that these G7 countries want to put pressure on China to find out where the pandemic started. They want to know if it was man-made or not, or if it came from a lab or not. So crazy, right? Like a year ago, you're a conspiracy theorist. You're crazy. You're nuts. You go to prison for even saying that. But today, it's the G7. It's on the G7 agenda. How unbelievable. But this is the major thing for Bitcoin that we need to be watching out for. Environmental concern, climate change, okay? And I think kind of what we're seeing in the overall crypto market is kind of a because of all the political stuff. And now knowing that this meeting was this weekend, Friday through Sunday, it makes a lot of sense why over the last few weeks we've been seeing a lot of politicians coming out and talking about Bitcoin. And I also thought it was interesting that we've got El Salvador accepting Bitcoin as legal tender literally the week before this G7 summit. So this is definitely going to be a topic of conversation there as well. So when it comes to climate change, we know what the thought is on Bitcoin. One thing that Joe Biden, President Biden, is pushing for is more credits for electric cars. Interesting, huh? Interesting. What is the biggest electric car company, or at least the most notable? I don't know if it's the biggest in sales. Maybe Ford sells more electric cars. I don't know. We all know who that is. So, the plot thickens possibly here when it comes to Bitcoin. And it comes to that guy that we don't talk about on this channel anymore. But the fact is that I feel like what we're seeing right now is there is a push towards these things. We don't know what's going to be said at this G7 summit. We don't know if there's going to be some kind of a handshake regulation agreement that comes out about climate change and Bitcoin mining and how the relationship is that they have together. And it might not be good for Bitcoin. But here's kind of my thought on it. When it comes to this agenda that's coming out, we're going to either see one of two things coming out of this G7 summit. We are either going to see, basically, Bitcoin come more in the spotlight than it's ever been as these countries decide to band together to try to push Bitcoin out, push Bitcoin down, try to prevent you from buying it, trying to prevent you from selling it, and it becomes a huge focal point. Now, if that is the case, well, as always with Bitcoin, when you try to do negative things against it, it only proves its use case. But the other thing is, it will have a major downward turn in the momentum for Bitcoin. Because what this says is, because of this El Salvador news this week, these countries realize, or they're getting pressure from the IMF, who I'm starting to think the IMF, International Monetary Fund, is actually who runs the entire world. That's really what I believe. But the point is, if we see that coming from them, that pressure, then Bitcoin is going to be a talking point. If they're not really that concerned with Bitcoin, they're not going to talk about it at all. Maybe one little thing comes out of this meeting this week. That will be extremely bullish for Bitcoin. That will mean that Bitcoin is still flying under the radar and it's still trying to establish roots, or it will have some more time to establish roots and get even stronger before they really do realize what an incredible threat to the traditional financial system that Bitcoin is. And I think it's hard to say. I don't know which is going to be. Honestly, I'm about 50-50 on it. I'm 50-50 on whether this is going to be a nothing burger or it's going to be gigantic for Bitcoin, either in the positive or negative side. But I do think that's what we're seeing right now. This is a big global meeting with 7 important leaders of the world there. Is Bitcoin on the agenda? We've heard there might be something coming out. So you guys monitor that very closely, because if it breaks, it could break heavy to the downside. If it goes up, it probably wouldn't be until Monday, because that means Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, there was no negative news for Bitcoin coming out from this G7 summit. So let me know your thoughts down below. And guys, I don't like to talk politics. I really don't. I don't like to go there. Why? Because whatever my opinion is, 50% of you will hate me for it, and 50% of you will love me for it. So I don't like to talk about politics. However, guys, when Bitcoin is so intermingled with politics as it is right now, it's impossible to talk about the benefits and possibly the barriers for Bitcoin without going into this stuff. So I can't wait until it's over so we don't have to talk about it anymore. And then the politicians can learn to keep Bitcoin out your mouth and put some respect on my name. That's all I got. Be blessed. BitBoy out.